Once, letters were how we connected. Love, loss, politics and poetry captured on paper. Today, a text, an email, a like. Has something been lost? Not so long ago, lots of letters were sent in Ireland. According to An Post, a decade ago, twice as many were being sent. But nowadays, 93% of letters are generated by businesses or government bodies, with just 7% comprising personal cards and letters. Do you write letters or cards anymore?
Not since I was 11 or 12.
Personally, I've never sent a letter in my life to anybody.
Because if I want to tell someone something, why am I going to pay €2?
Exactly. But letters were once at the heart of how Ireland communicated.
I'm a big fan of letters, so much so that I wrote this book a few years ago called The President's Letters, which is a selection of about 350 or so letters from all of the presidents of Ireland. The ones that I loved most were letters where it made me think, I never knew that. So there would be the letters that I expected to find, letters between presidents and other heads of state around the world. And then there are letters of love letters and letters of loss and letters, begging letters. There are letters written with such anger that the pen has torn through the page, and there are letters that made me nearly get kicked out of the library laughing so hard.
Dear Mr. President, she says, my son, who is just 10 years old, would like to be King of Ireland's Eye. Well, little did she know, Mrs. May Guerin, but he did go on to become Irish Ambassador to Slovenia, Miles Guerin.
Letters weren't just personal, they were political, cultural, deeply human.
The Imrica project is a digital collection of Irish immigrant letters and life stories. Irish people have been moving across the Atlantic for hundreds of years, but the collection that we have details about 300 years of that history, so from about 1680 all the way into the 1990s. There are examples of people who are writing about family feuds or family disputes. There are examples of people who are writing with great nostalgia and homesickness because they're really missing the people and the places back home. My dear Michael, how changeable are the scenes of this life? Scattered now to the remotest corners of the earth are almost all those companions who, but a few short years ago, laughed and played mid the green hills and valleys of their native land.
Without these letters, we wouldn't fully understand the Irish immigrant experience. And one of the greatest letters ever written was by an Irishman in prison.
Dear Bosie, after long and fruitless waiting, I've determined to write to you myself.
At Molly, we love a good letter. Right now, we're working on a new film installation of Oscar Wilde's De Profundis. I think De Profundis, at its 50,000 odd words, is one of the most significant letters ever written. It says so much about the time, about Oscar Wilde as an artist, as Oscar Wilde as a person. Wilde had been imprisoned for, as they called it then, gross indecency. Perhaps for one of the first times he can be more open about the things that he's already been convicted for, I suppose.
As I would not like to think that I had passed through 2 long years of imprisonment without ever having received a single line from you.
So, is there still a place for letter writing in our lives?
Visiting a nice place, it's nice to kind of send a postcard that has the kind of authenticity of that place. So I think there still is something quite nice and a nice sort of ritual around it.
Oh, you see your name in the mail, and I think that's always nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like you see, you're like, oh my God, it's for me. So I think that's a lot.
I wrote letters back when I was in the Gaeltacht. Yeah, it's kind of nice to go back and see those kind of memories and stuff.
I like how people can express their feelings in a letter and then they give it to you. And it's something you can keep and reread it every time. And you have it like a nice place in your room, in a special place for them.
For people like me working in museums, I hope that writers out there are still creating the odd letter, for our sakes at least.
If you are somebody who's never sent a letter, I would really encourage you to do so. They are wonderful and beautiful to receive.
I'll be leaving perhaps a small archive of my own letters, but am I going to put in my will, here's the password to my email? Probably not.
Share your thoughts in the comments and maybe write someone a letter today.